Hello everyone, welcome to our latest UK general election prediction video. So we did our first prediction video for the next UK general election last month in June. At that point, the prediction was a Conservative majority of 60 seats at the next UK general election. Well, we're into July now, and it's time to bring you our latest prediction videos. So the data you see here is going to be coming from Electoral Calculus. It's their prediction based on opinion polls conducted across the United Kingdom during June, and we'll have a look at those opinion polls as well. And we'll have a look at the approval ratings for the Prime Minister and also for the Leader of the Opposition, which midterm in a parliamentary cycle can often be a little bit more reliable, actually, but than traditional voting intention opinion polls. And we'll see what's going on, in terms of government popularity as well. I should get on with all of that very shortly. Just say that if you're enjoying these videos looking at the chances of what's going to happen at the next UK general election, then please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And share videos wherever you want. And thank you so much to all of you for doing that. And subscribe to the channel as well. And let us know in the comments what you think about what's going to happen in the next general election. We do not know when the next election will be. It can't be any later than May 2024 in terms of the Fixed Term Parliaments Act. But it looks like the Fixed Term Parliaments Act is probably going to be repealed in the next year or so. So I would suspect the next general election will either be early, a year early in 2023, or it will be right at the end of the 5-year cycle in 2024. So we've got quite a way to go before we get to the general election. We'll be tracking opinion as we get closer and closer to it. Right, okay, so let's move over to Electoral Calculus. And so for this, I'm going to have to turn off the webcam so that I don't obscure your view. So the current sort of headline about what's happened over the past month is that Electoral Calculus is now predicting a Conservative majority of 42. That is down 18 from last month's prediction. So the prediction in last month's video was a Conservative majority of 60. The prediction now is Conservative majority of 42 seats. There hasn't really been all that much change in terms of voting intention. If I scroll this and put webcam back up, I don't think I'll be obscuring too much of your view. So I'll just explain what's happened over the past month. There hasn't been all that much change in terms of overall voting intention numbers, but the Conservatives have lost around 1.5 percentage points off their predicted vote share over the past month. So I'll explain the columns. Of course, we've got our party column just here, Conservative, Labour, Liberal Democrat, for example. We've got 2019 vote shares just here. So in 2019, the Conservatives got 44.7% of the vote, which is the biggest Conservative percentage since, I think, the general election of 1970. I think it was. Labour was in on 33.0, and the Liberal Democrats were in at 11.8. We have all of the other parties down here, which I'll talk about in a moment. And that led to a Conservative tally of seats of 365. Labour were down to 203. Which is their lowest in terms of seats since 1935 general election. Absolutely abysmal, terrible performance from Labour in December 2019. Liberal Democrats on just 11 seats, with Greens were on 1. SNP were on 48 seats, Plaid on 4, DUP 8, and so on. Down we go. So what's happened over the past month is that the Conservative vote share prediction now is 42.1%. That's down around 1.5% from last month's prediction. So Labour very much unchanged really at 33.6 degrees. They're 33.6%, I should say. Getting mixed up with the day job there, Gav. We've got the Liberal Democrats on 8.1%, not degrees. Again, that is very little change on last month. Perhaps over a smidging, but very little change, really. Reform 1.8, Green 5.9. Again, very little change on last month in terms of the other parties. Really is the Conservatives that have lost a little bit over the past month, but has reduced that overall Conservative majority from 60 last month to a prediction of 42 this month. It's not complete pretty clear where the Conservatives, where that 1.5% off the Conservative percentage prediction has gone. Particularly, I think it's spread out a little bit, tiny bit between Labour, a little bit between the Liberal Democrats, probably a little bit between Reform, and probably just some Conservative voters saying that they now will not vote. So if you have a look at the, because there's a margin of error with all of these predictions and opinion polls as well, of course, which a lot of people tend to forget. So in terms of the overall predicted seats now for the Conservative this month, they are predicted to get 346 seats at the next election, which is down around 9, I think, on last month's prediction. Labour on 220, that's around 8 or 9 up on last month. Liberal Democrats predicted to get 6 seats, that's very little change on last month. And we see Reform on 0. The Greens keep their 1 seat with this prediction, and the SNP go up a few more seats from 48 to a prediction of 55. There's a margin of error with that, of course. So at the lowest sort of seat tally for the Conservatives, they get 264 seats. At the low end of the margin for error, but the high end of margin for error, they could get 425 seats. Labour at the low end could go down to 150 seats, which would be their worst seat share since 1918, I think. On the high end, they could go up to 299. We see the Liberal Democrats at their very lowest could go down to just 3 seats, but at their highest, they could go up to 24 seats. For Reform, they might get a couple of seats. Greens, they don't change. Either their high end or low end prediction is still at 1 seat. SNP, interestingly, the SNP at their high end for seats is 56. So the prediction has the SNP virtually, the central prediction has the SNP virtually at their highest end for seats. Actually, it can only go like 1 more up. And at their low end, they have a prediction of 35. But of course, it's this column just here that is like the central prediction based on these predicted vote shares from opinion polls conducted across the country during June 2021. Let's have a look at those opinion polls, shall we? So this is from Wikipedia. This is the opinion polling page for the next UK general election. So these are all of the polls that were conducted during June 2021. So we've got the first poll of the month conducted just here. Actually, I think I want to go to this page where I've closed in. Yeah, let's get rid of that. So the first poll predicted for June 2021 was a Survation, which gave the Conservatives a majority of 8 percentage points. The final poll conducted during June 2021 was YouGov, which gave the Conservatives a prediction of 11 percentage points. Generally, the Conservative lead, you see, every poll during June 2021 did have a Conservative lead, so that's the first thing to get on the table. There was not a single poll during June 2021 that had any other party leading other than the Conservative Party. And that's quite unusual, to be mid-term in the Parliament. So I think I have to put that on the table first. Well, but, historically, to this point in the Parliament, the Conservatives are doing very, very well, even if they have lost a little bit in terms of their overall lead, and a little bit's been shaved off their vote share in these polls over the past month. Nevertheless, this is still an extremely good performance, for mid-term. So the highest vote share for the Conservatives is YouGov for the Times newspaper, or Times Online, I suppose, as it would be more now. Conducted on the 16th, 17th of June, which gave Conservatives a 14 percentage point lead. I think the lowest that there is, it's a little bit difficult to see, but I think the lowest that there is Survation, just here, conducted on the 25th, 26th of June, which gave the Conservatives a lead of just 6%. I think gradually, as June went along, we did see the Conservative vote share dropping away a little bit, so I think there was a little bit of a reduction in the Conservative vote share, and the Liberal Democrats went up a little bit after the Chesham and Amersham by-election, which was conducted on the 17th of June. You remember the Liberal Democrats took the Chesham and Amersham seat off the Conservatives, a little bit unexpectedly so. And after that, it looks like they got a little bit of a boost. So this is the Liberal Democrat column just here, notice that up to the Chesham and Amersham by-election, the Liberal Democrats are generally in single digits in all of these polls. As we get beyond the Chesham and Amersham by-election vote, we do see a little bit of an increase in the Liberal Democrat vote share, going from single digits to double digits in most of the polls. Only a very modest, very slight increase, but I think it is there. But the Liberal Democrats generally went up by a point or two from like 7 or 8% before the by-election to around 10% after the by-election with a lot of these polls. Not all of them, though. I mean, we've got Opinium just here, which has the Liberal Democrats on just 7 percentage points. Labour barely move, really, through the Parliament, through the past month, really, with their vote share. So we can see that the first poll, for example, has them on 33%. There's another poll there on 35%, then 30, then 32, then 32. 36 is a little bit better there for Labour. 35, 31, 34, 34, 34, 34, 34, 33, 31, 35, 30, 33, 30, 35, 35, 33, 34, 31. They're not really moving. They're somewhere in the low to mid 30s percentage points. And in terms of the Conservative vote share, again, we see through up to the Chesham and Amersham by-election, they're generally in the low to mid 40s. After the Chesham and Amersham by-election, I think generally they're more towards the low 40s than the mid 40s, but not that much change. But that's just a little bit of a swing there from the Conservatives, probably more to Liberal Democrats, if anything, than Labour, I think. So not all that much change over the past month, but just enough to reduce that overall. Just enough to reduce that overall majority from 60 to 42 seats in terms of the prediction based on those opinion polls. In terms of popularity and unpopularity and approval and disapproval for the party leaders, the two party leaders, so we've got Boris Johnson's here first of all. So this is how Boris Johnson's approval looked when we did last month's video in June, for May up to the end of May, and you see that through most of May, Boris Johnson's approval was positive. So where we've got these green columns just here, the green columns, that's where we've got positive approval for the Prime Minister. The latest, of course, for approval and disapproval is during June, is just here. We can see that earlier on in June, a lot of the polls were still showing Boris Johnson having a positive approval rating. For example, we've got Red Bill Wilton there showing a 9% approval rating for Boris Johnson. As June went on, and particularly after that Chesham and Amersham by-election, we do see that Boris Johnson's approval rating begins to start going a little bit more towards the negative side, a little bit more, towards disapproval and unfavourability from just here onwards. But there's one poll just there that has neither a negative or neither a negative or a positive rating. But generally, I think after the by-election, it looks as though Boris Johnson's approval rating does go a little bit towards the negative side. As I explained in last month's video, we're very hard on our politicians. So most of the time, you expect Prime Minister today, whoever they are, to be unpopular. So disapproval to be within the majority of the population. And it's the same for all party leaders, really, although oppositions tend to be a little bit more popular compared to governments, and opposition leaders tend to be a little bit more popular compared to prime ministers, due to the fact that they aren't in power, so they aren't upsetting anybody. They're not doing anything to upset anyone. But generally, most of the time, we are pretty hard on our politicians and our governments and our political parties and so on. So Boris Johnson doing okay. He's gone a little bit towards the negative side towards the end of June after that by-election. But overall, for like the current situation for Prime Minister midterm, he's not doing too badly compared to Keir Starmer, and we see that you know, from beginning to end, he's negative, really, which is quite unusual for an opposition leader to be unpopular, or as unpopular as this, because as I say, generally opposition are not doing anything that is upsetting anyone. But you can see, so for last month's video, we stopped there for the 31st of May, and at that point, all of Sir Keir Starmer's ratings were negative, some of them extraordinarily so. We have, for example, what is it? I just here have YouGov showing a negative rating for well and badly. So a badly rating of minus 48% negative. That's very much an outlier, though, I think. But you see, generally during May, Sir Keir Starmer was very unpopular. After that, we don't see any sign, really, of a recovery in Keir Starmer's ratings, to be honest. So through June, these are the polls, you know, that are asking whether people approve or disapprove, or favourable, unfavourable, well, badly, however it's worded, for Keir Starmer. And see, but throughout the whole of June, again, Sir Keir Starmer's ratings were negative, in the red, you know, which is pretty bad for an opposition leader. This point in the parliament, you expect the opposition leader to be doing a lot better than this, really. This point in the parliament, again, we see some quite very, you know, some quite negative numbers. Got minus 44 just there again. That's with YouGov is at the high end of the range, but we also have Ipsos MORI showing Sir Keir Starmer's rating in terms of favourable, unfavourable at minus 25%. That's really, really bad, you know. So out of the two-party leaders, it does look as though Boris Johnson is still the most popular, though he may have become a little bit more unpopular after that, you know, after that Chesham and Amersham by-election. In terms of government approval, this is from YouGov. So in terms of government approval or disapproval, looks like government is becoming a little bit more unpopular, I should say. When we did last month's video, we stopped there on the 7th of June, I think, where we saw disapproval for the government at 43%, approval for the government at 37%. You see that's widened over the past month up to 12th of July. We see now that 48% disapprove of the government, 43% approve of the government. So the government is becoming more unpopular, or has become more unpopular over the past month up to the 12th of July on the YouGov tracker. What's quite interesting about this is that it does look to be, this approval-disapproval chart does look to be tracking the pandemic quite a lot. So, of course, this is around where the general election happens just here. So, of course, you expect the government today, as first elected, to get a little bit of a bounce. Actually, we don't see much sign of the government getting all that much of a bounce. Just a gradual reduction in disapproval and a gradual increase in approval after the general election. But notice approval spikes up just here, and that's at the beginning of the pandemic. Boris Johnson gets coronavirus, COVID-19, becomes very unwell. We're in the midst of the crisis, and people start to rain around the government for a while through the spring of 2020. But going to the summer of 2020, you see the government then starts to get a little bit more unpopular. And then unpopularity of the government just increases, really, as we go through the autumn and into the winter of 2020, 2021, where the government does actually become really quite unpopular for a while around here. Look how many people are disapproving of what the government is doing compared to people who are approving what the government is doing. That's as we're going into the second wave, you know, we're in the pit of the second wave during the winter of 2020, 2021. We come out of the second wave, get the vaccine rollout going. You see that we have a dramatic narrowing of government approval and disapproval. So more people start to approve of what the government is doing as the vaccines are rolled out, come out of the second wave. Now, as we're potentially going into the start of the third wave, we see that the government is again beginning to get a little bit more unpopular. So quite interesting how government popularity and unpopularity is sort of tracking the waves of the pandemic a little bit. this is finally showing you the overall state of the parties in terms of the opinion polls conducted since the last general election. I just want to leave you with this because when we do next month's update, I think we will see the predicted Conservative majority narrowing further. We are halfway through July, and notice how this blue line is continuing to drop further as we go into July. So more opinion polls have been conducted during the first half of July, which we will talk about in next month's video, and those opinion polls are clearly starting to reduce the Conservative lead a little bit further. The Conservatives are still in the lead, well and truly, there's no question about that. You know, the Conservatives are still generally above 40%, even with their worst opinion polls. And Labour, you know, despite the success, and we'll talk about this much more in next month's video as well, because Labour won the Backley and Spen by-election, again, a little bit unexpectedly so. But unlike what we've had with the Liberal Democrats, where after Chesham and Amersham, the Liberal Democrats begin to move upwards, notice how it's a yellow line, Liberal Democrats just starts to inch up a little bit. We see no real sign of that for Labour since the Backley and Spen by-election. It might be a little bit early, though, for Labour to get like a Backley bounce. But at the moment, there's not much sign of a Backley bounce. Labour are still sort of stuck somewhere around the low to mid-30s. It's really the Conservatives that look like they're dropping backwards a little bit, and Liberal Democrats that are the beneficiaries of that more so than Labour. But of course, as the Conservative lead in the polls begins to reduce, then the gap to Labour will narrow, and so it does have a net beneficial effect to Labour. But at the moment, there's not much sign of like a transfer of Conservative to Labour. Looks like it's more a transfer from Conservative to Liberal Democrats. But then again, we've got to wait a little bit longer, I think, to see whether Labour do get a Backley bounce, because it was only like a week or two ago. So I think a little bit longer needs to be waited for that. But yeah, so the Conservatives are still doing well. You know, if you're a Conservative supporter, there's nothing to be overly concerned about with this at the moment. They're in pole position for midterm in what is a very difficult Parliament, a very difficult situation because of pandemic. They are doing very well. Labour are still struggling. You know, historically, the opposition should be doing better than this midterm, and certainly the leader of the opposition should be doing better than the leader of opposition is. The Liberal Democrats, there's a little bit there for the Liberal Democrats to cling on to after their success in Chesham, and I think maybe people are just starting to notice them a little bit more. Right, so that's it for this prediction. We'll be back next month, and we'll do it all over again. And as I say, next month you can expect the Conservatives' lead to be further reduced in that prediction from Electoral Calculus, based on the opinion polls that have been conducted during July so far. So we will probably see a further reduction of the Conservative majority, predicted Conservative majority next month. But we will talk more about that and those two by-elections of Chesham, and particularly Backley and Spen when we do next month's video in August. Right then, so that's it for this month's UK general election prediction. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much to all of you, and we'll be back next month with our next prediction. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.